Hey, everybody, it's Amanda Herr, and I am here today with my guest, Belinda Sandor. And welcome to the Business of Possibility. So, the Business of Possibility is really it's a conversation that we're going to have every single week. And I'm going to be speaking to some of the most innovative, inspiring, positive people on the planet. And one of those people I am so blessed to be friends with, and her name is Belinda Sandor from the VA Connection. So she's here with us today. Thank you, Belinda. How are you?
I'm great, and thanks for putting me in that group of, inspiring, fabulous women. I really love that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you are. You're one of the most inspiring, and that's why I wanted you to be on today for the inaugural launch of the Business of Possibility. So, for those of you that don't know Belinda, she actually owns something that's called the VA Connection, and she also runs VA School. So, Belinda, tell us a little bit about what the VA Connection is.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, the VA Connection, I started it about 3 years ago, and it's an primarily an online community where I connect and train people to be virtual assistants. Whether they're just starting out or they've been a VA for a while, and I do that with skills they already have.
Mm.
So I believe that pretty much anyone who decides they want to be a virtual assistant can do that because what people need is so varied that there's something for everyone for sure.
Absolutely.
VA school, you asked about that as well. That's something that's grown out of the community. It's a 9-week program where I take people who want to learn how to build a business and I help them with that.
I think that it's so amazing where, what you've done and where you come from and what you have created. And that's one of the reasons I find you so inspiring, not in the least that you're just an amazing person and you've been so helpful to me and, personally, but just to hear your story about how you've created this community of women and really anyone, it's not all women, but it's a lot of women who have really said, I want something different in my life. I want to be more in control of what I do and basically be able to run my own show, right?
Right.
So, 30,000, I think. How many people are in that community now?
Yeah, 28,000. Yeah.
28, that, oh my God. Okay. So walk us through a little bit of like where you've come from and how this all happened, because I think some of us are probably sitting there and thinking, and I hear this a lot, like, oh, that's crazy. That would never happen to me. But honestly, you are living proof that yes, it is possible, hence the business of possibility. But how did this all happen for you?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So I was in corporate for 17 years. I loved it. I did well at it. And right after my daughter was born, I was laid off. And
Oh,
that was awesome
that's
because I
fun.
probably wouldn't have had the courage to go out on my own if I hadn't done that. I started a business that was not successful financially. It was successful in many ways, but that was not one of them. And I landed myself in a position where I hadn't been able to pay the mortgage for a year. I needed to blow my marriage up. So I'm a newly single mom, and all these things are happening where I've always been very, what's next? I'm in control. I know what's going on, person. And now it's just like, it's just a mess. So I wanted to work for myself. I knew that I wanted the time flexibility and I needed to turn around my finances in a way that I was able to take care of the debt that I'd created and move forward. And I'd been a secretary back in the dark ages,
The
and I
dark ages.
decided,
You mean when I was a
right? It was
secretary,
like the
Belinda?
80s.
Okay. With the stone and the chisel and the
I know, I know. Well, there weren't even really computers. Like I worked on one of the first word processors, Wang Computing. A really long time ago in '82 or something, and so I knew I wanted to do admin work. I really liked it. I liked the process of it, and so I just started telling everybody I knew that I was doing this, and I got my first client at the school bus stop. One of the dads said, "What's new?" And I said, "I'm going to do this business." And he's like, "Oh my gosh, I totally need you to help me." So I did these kind of everyday, commonsensical things, like I paid his bills and I cleaned out his email inbox and things like that. And so I'll fast forward a little bit. I just kept telling people about this business that I called Rocket Girl Solutions. And so I was a VA, a virtual assistant for 12 years and created a six-figure income the second year. And so I started to look around in the
Take a
world,
moment.
yeah,
Take a
and
moment.
really
Yeah.
became self-reliant, from a
Yeah.
place of relying on corporate, which is really not that reliable, turns out.
No.
Um,
It's
yeah, it's
it's
like,
not. Everyone thinks it
no,
is. It's really not.
it's not. It's not. And I grew up in an IBM family where my dad was like, true blue and loyalty and all of that matters. And it
Mhm.
did matter back then, but it's not rewarded now.
Yeah.
It's not, as you're the expert of this. And so for me, being self-reliant was the whole key. And that's what being a successful virtual assistant gave me, because having 50 clients, three of them go away, no problem, because I can get more. And so after building the system and having it be successful, feel grounded in success instead of luck, I decided to start teaching other people how to do this in 2019. And that's when I started to build a community.
So in 2019, here we are, end of 2022. So what? That's 3 years. Here's this giant community. You have a very successful program with the VA school, right?
I do.
And I think it's so important for everyone listening that, like we were talking about, corporate, while it's wonderful and, it can be it can be a very exciting place to be, it's not any more safe than doing something on your own. So, like when I speak with my clients, I help them create their vision of success, whatever that is. If they want to stay in corporate, fantastic, let's do that. If you want to build something on your own, fantastic, let's do that. But I think the key is that you have to understand that it is a possibility. Like you don't have to stay someplace where you're unhappy, right? And you can expect, or you can't accept anything less from your own success than you feeling successful, right? So
Mhm.
when we started talking, Belinda, and we were talking about being a VA, and I started doing some of the VA work, and I did your program, I it was like the most profitable year I had when I was at Digital Desk, because I shifted Digital Desk into more of this more digital virtual assistant realm and followed your program. And it was life changing for the business. And now that business pretty much runs with my team, and I get to do what I love, which is over here, right? Digital marketing's great, but I dig this more.
Mhm.
So, talk to me about a little bit about, like, how did it feel when that shift started to happen and you started to roll with this, and how did you deal with that? Because that could be kind of scary too.
It was really scary. It was, and I invested financially. And after my financial PTSD,
Mhm.
in the early 2000s, that felt like a big deal. Rocket Girl Solutions was successful and it was humming along and it was feeding my family. And so to break out and start the VA connection, it was a big deal. I thought about it for several years before I did it, just trying to figure out what I was trying to create. Um, but I didn't know how to do it. I had no idea how to do it. I didn't really hang out on Facebook. I didn't understand beyond, mom 101 social media, certainly not social media strategy. I'd never been on video ever. Um, yeah, no,
Welcome.
live my life on video. I know.
Right.
Yeah, but the thing is that about corporate, the way I talk to my students about it is there's something called a single point of failure,
Mm.
which is that person that says, boom, you're gone. And I've seen it with a lot of people. And so that's why I'm a big fan of having your own business. But
Mhm.
so I'll talk about the transition though. So in the beginning, Rocket Girl, my business Rocket Girl, was paying to start the VA connection. And so I sort of, tested out what I wanted to do, because I found a lot of times businesses are not what you think they are. I
Yeah.
had an online store. It was really a packaging plant with the UPS guy. Like, you have to look at what you're going to end up doing, at the end
Yeah.
of the day. So I was knowing that I was testing out teaching, testing out, figuring out how to talk about how I ran my business. And for a while, the two businesses fought with each other, like really fought with each other, because I they were both taking so much time, and I didn't know which one was going to be more important in my life in the long term. And I was
Yeah.
scared, but I just kept at it and just kept at it. And, I kept trying to just figure out one thing at a time, because otherwise you just can't make,
Yeah.
get any traction. And so eventually, just in the last, actually a year ago, I decided not to take on any more Rocket Girl clients. My last client I took on was December of 2021.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, and I still have some clients. I still have about 9 or 10 clients that are in some phase of phasing out over the next probably year, and I can handle both easily. But my heart is really in the VA connection, and it's taking up all pretty much all my time.
Yeah. Well, I just, what I heard, the one thing, first of all, I wanted to say here, you said it was the dark ages. Debbie, I just want to say, Debbie said it was totally dark. Yeah. So I do want to mention too, if you guys have questions for myself or for Belinda, definitely make sure to ask them. That's why we're here. We want to talk to you. So let us know. I'm happy to pop you up on the screen and answer whatever you've got. But Belinda, I heard you say, one thing at a time. And I feel like I see this a lot. And I've done this too. You saw me do this. And basically you just get overwhelmed from, you want to go from A to Z and you're thinking of all those steps to get to Z, and then you just don't even go to B. You're just like, stop. It's paralysis by analysis, or paralysis by possibility, I guess.
Mhm.
So, saying doing one thing at a time and just one foot in front of the other is so important, because by the time you've done, 10 different steps, you're like, oh my gosh, like this can happen. Um, what are some of the things, like, maybe who has helped you throughout your journey, and, in what way has that transformed, what you're doing?
Right. Great question. I always have help. I
Mm.
always have help, because well, part of it is I'm impatient and I want to get where I want to be fast. And I also know the cost of fooling around and not getting the help. I mean, easily, if I had decided that I was going to become a Facebook community expert on my own in 2019, and I was going to figure out the best platform in the world versus having the woman I was coaching with say Kajabi, and I just
Right.
said, okay, is there a better one out there? Not sure. I'm married to this one. I trusted her. I hired her. That's what I'm doing. I like it. It's fun. It's fun to work with. And then in terms of running a Facebook community, which was the first step, um, I did what she said. I modeled myself after her, and I have done that my entire career,
Hmm.
and I still do it now. I still do it now. I hire people who have what I want, and I listen to them. And then after I get it sort of under my skin, I can improve it. I can see it differently and add something to it. But I
Hmm.
don't do that until I know enough myself. So for example, in terms of doing one thing at a time, my coach said to me, start a live stream show. We're going to call it the Rocket Girl Show. So I got comfortable. I don't know if I got good at it back then, but I got comfortable at it, and it was a routine. I did it twice a week, no kidding, didn't miss it. sometimes I had to do it with, a shirt over my robe because I was not ready or whatever. I have done a live stream like that. And
Like, oh, I gotta go put makeup on today.
yeah, or just do that Zoom appearance, enhance appearance. But
Yeah.
that works really well. But I learned how to do the Rocket Girl show, and then some my coach said, okay, so now we're going to do this, and I said, okay, I'm going to go in, I'm going to figure that out, and just I'm still running my life. I'm still running VA school. I'm still doing all the things, but I'm only innovating in terms of one thing at a time.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the difference.
Yeah. And, and I know your coach, and she's an amazing woman, Jen Lehner. So I've been following Jen and been a part of Jen's world too. That's how we met, for about 9 years now. And she has been instrumental in my career as well. So, and that's what's the beautiful part about this is. And I think that this translates to corporate, this translates to entrepreneurship. It's just everything in life. Having a stable of people, or, some people call it a tribe, I call it a community, just having a group of people who are willing to step in and say, you know what, I see this in you. Have you ever thought of doing X? Or, hey, I see you doing Y, and I'm not quite sure that's coming off the way that you want it to come off. Or, what if you tried this? And because we all live in our own heads, right? And we're all having that discussion that we all have with ourselves. And we may view things certain ways that, that's not really the way that the world is viewing it. So, or we have strengths that we just don't realize are strengths because they're just stuff that we've always done, right? So, Jen, you like, having women or just a group of people that are willing to step in and be a part of your world and help you with your career is so very important. So whether that's a coach that you hire, whether that's a group of people at work, or even outside of your industry that you can find and network with, is vitally important. And I would say a mix. Definitely having someone. Back when I started coaching was like for the people who needed coaching, and it was like, oh no, but now it's being seen for what it is, which is really, having someone to enhance your strengths and actually pull them out for you, because, that's going to help propel you forward. And so a mix, I think, of people who are just in your sphere, but then other people who, basically you're paying them to make you accountable and, tell you, help you find your strengths. I think that's important too. So
Absolutely.
yeah. And you've been one of those for me, for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So,
Yeah.
oh, sorry, go ahead. You're
No,
gonna
I was just going to say it is important to have a group of people around you, and a lot of times in the past, before I understood the value of this, I might have felt as if I should know this already. And why don't I know this? There's something wrong with me if I don't know this. But, I just turned myself over to the experts now. I just got off the phone, off of Zoom. I'm redesigning our homepage. And I was meeting with Mark, and he's a graphics genius. He designs everything that we do. And he's like, this picture or this picture photograph of me. And I was like, you choose,
Yeah,
and I trust the choice. And I think I get a lot of my life back because I'm not over analyzing how my eyelashes look in two pictures. You know what I mean? To
yeah.
make it really silly, but people do that,
No, I hear you.
and just trusting it, just going with it, and trusting the experts, and not in a blind way.
Right.
We've worked together for 30 years, Mark and I've known him forever, and I know that his work product is solid, and I don't need to question it. I don't
Yeah.
need to question it.
And that is one of the hardest things that I had, was letting go, and trusting that I didn't need to know everything. Because, when I was in corporate, as I think everyone knows, I was vice president of advertising sales for CNN. I had to be the person. Like, I was the person that needed to do all these things, and I needed to have it together. And I had to make sure all these little buckets and things, so that when I actually let go of that position, it wasn't normal for me not to feel like I was needing to be on all the time, but also B, because I was in sales, not in competition with anybody. I was only there to be the best that I could be. And that was something that was really difficult, not difficult, but just it was like the one of the bigger things that I needed to work on when I left. And then I also realized, because I did all of those things in corporate, could do so many different things. So like I tell everyone that is in a corporate situation or in a job, if you want to change things or if you want to do something different, even, for someone else, on your own, whatever you do for your job, you probably do 10 different things that could be 10 different high paying positions. And you just don't realize it because you're so used to doing those 10 things as one job. And so letting go and just or in this case with you, Belinda, focusing in on where your strengths are, right? And letting other people's strengths shine by like surrounding yourself with people who have strengths where you're maybe not as strong. And it propelled you
Yeah.
forward. Like you're just
Yeah.
on fire now.
Yeah. Well, I think of myself as the orchestra leader. So it's like, so I know what everybody's doing, I know what's going on, I'm definitely leading the way with ideas and things, and I know who to go to. So for example, I needed a headline for my new website, and so I have a friend who I've worked with for, I don't know, 15 years, and he's really good at that. And so we just
Mhm.
started a banter. We had a meeting, we threw some things around, and then we just started texting each other, and then last Saturday morning or Sunday, he texted me something and I was like, oh yeah, okay. Right. And then on Monday, I woke up and I added something to it and he said, oh yeah. And so then I gave it to Mark today and he's going to make it the headline of the homepage. So it's really about collaborating. But I will say it's important to not crowdsource,
Yes.
meaning ask a
Oh,
lot of opinions, um,
absolutely.
because you just get dragged down. So I know when it comes to words, it's Michael. When it comes to graphics, it's Mark. When it comes to, writing website pages, it's, Danielle. And
Mhm.
so I just have these people around me that I bring in and out as I need them. And they're invested in my success, and we work really well together and we like each other and we get stuff done.
Yeah, that's so important. Yeah, the crowdsourcing, because it is important to know your group, your community, but also know which ones fit where, because you might get five different opinions and then you're like worse off than you were to begin with. But
Right.
if you know your people, then you know which way to go and where to turn. And so that's such a good and important point to make. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and one more thing to add on that, know who you're
Mhm.
talking to, because I was meeting with one of my students the other day and her husband, like mine, is a guy, he's a job guy, and
Yep.
he's trying to protect her. So with my own husband, I'll tell him an idea. He's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. I don't know if you should do that." And I'm like, "I'm so doing that. Like I am doing
Yeah.
that." But
Yeah.
all he's trying to do is protect me, and he doesn't know anything about having his own business because
Right.
he's had a job his whole life and he likes having a job. When I met him, I'm like, let's start a company for you. And he's like, yeah, no. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. So it's definitely not for everybody. But yeah, it's so consider the source. Ask people who have been there. For me to, ask my 62-year-old husband who's been an accountant his whole life what I should do on my live show. He's not on Facebook. Like that would be silly. So think about that, because our family members and friends, they're trying to protect us, and if they don't know about having their own business, they're probably not going to say do it. Everyone I knew told me not to start Rocket Girl, every single person, and I did
Yeah.
it anyway. I trusted one person, they helped me, they stood by me, and they're still there today.
Well, you
Everyone
trusted
else is
two
not
people.
really
You
around.
trusted yourself. Yeah, and you trusted yourself. And I can say, yeah, family members love you too much to watch you try something that isn't, I guess, classic or traditional.
Mhm.
I love my mom, and my mom just wants to protect me. So she'll, now she's like, whatever you want to do, I'm happy for, you know what I mean? Like, but she's seen that I can actually succeed now, but she's still like a deer in the headlights kind of a thing. So
Like, what are you
absolutely.
doing? Yeah.
Yes, yes. But that is such a good point to make too. So one thing that I want to make sure that I ask you is I always talk about living like it's possible. You know, I always tell myself every morning, live like it's possible, and that means something for me. I think it means something a little bit different for everyone. So
Hmm.
when I say to you, you know, live like it's possible, what does that mean for you?
I love that phrase. I love that phrase. So many of us have voices in our head that are telling us it's not possible, all
Yeah,
the time. Self-doubt, criticism, imposter syndrome, all the things. My
yeah,
students certainly have that. And I have it as well, but I've trained myself to replace that story. And so for me, live like it's possible is a practice of looking at the accomplishments that I've already had and reminding myself that I can do it. I
yeah.
can do it. And and this is the big thing. This is the big thing. Making decisions from it's going to happen, it's happening, or something better will occur. So if I make decisions to work with someone, so in the very beginning, when I was working on the VA connection, I was doing the graphics myself because I was coming from the I don't have enough money, I should invest in this thing that hasn't made 5 cents, I've already put in all
Right.
these thousands of dollars, right? So what I would do is I would spend my day making really bad graphics, feeling terrible that they looked so bad.
Were you
And
looking over my shoulder? No, I'm just
yeah,
kidding. Go ahead.
right, right. It's the same thing. Exactly. And then finally one day I said, a successful entrepreneur is a leader. I'm not a graphics person unless it's my strength, and it's not. So from
Right.
that point forward, I made my last graphic. And so I'll send it to him. He sends it back to me really fast. Like I'm probably gonna have my page banner by 2 o'clock today because he's excited too. And I get to do other things, to move the business forward. So living like it's possible is seeing what is possible, like looking ahead and living from that place of making that happen, getting the support that you need, and believing in yourself. Really believing in yourself.
That's awesome. Absolutely. Believing in yourself. That's so key to success. Absolutely. So, Belinda, I want to make sure that everyone watching has the opportunity to connect with you. Oh, Debbie is saying graphic design is so important. Everyone wants to be a designer. Oh my gosh, Debbie, absolutely. And you know that, right? Because Debbie's actually a graphic designer and she's amazing at what she does. So, but yeah, she sees that every single day, especially with, Canva. And Debbie's
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
Canva,
I
ah!
know, I know. But you know what? There's a place for everybody and their expertise. So I would say to Debbie, she doesn't sound like she's, that she's worried about this, but yeah, Canva's not the solution. It's so much more than Canva. It's your eye
Absolutely.
and the color and the nuance. And, graphic design is critically important to everything. It creates emotion,
Yeah.
creates
Oh
emotion
yeah.
for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That stops the scroll. It's all of it.
Right.
So, okay. So I want to make sure, Belinda, though, that everyone can, oh, Debbie said thank you. Everyone can get a hold of you and connect with you and be a part of your community. So can you let us know how they can do that?
Yeah, absolutely. There's two ways. One is to go, if you're on Facebook, go to thevaconnection.com and
Okay.
you'll just click the join button. We'll let you in and we'll welcome you into the community. Lots of things are going on there. It's a lot of fun. And if you're not so much into social media, you can go to thevaconnection.com, look at my old page that's getting revamped. And right at the top, you can subscribe to my newsletter. So every week I send out a newsletter on Monday morning that has a tip specifically about being a virtual assistant. I have a nice readership. I get a lot of compliments, and I'm proud of the value that it creates. So it's not something where you're going to get sold to. It's really how to do this. So I'd love to have you either subscribe or join the VA Connection on Facebook or both.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that newsletter is amazing. I'm like, how does she do it? Because I want to do a newsletter and I'm always like, how does Belinda's constantly got good stuff. It's always good stuff. So, and
Thank
then
you.
are you on LinkedIn? You're on LinkedIn. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
you're
I'm on
all over
LinkedIn. I'm
LinkedIn.
on yeah, you know what? If you go to thevaconnection.com and you scroll down the bottom, all of my socials are there. So the VA Connection is on Instagram. We're definitely the big, I call it the big group with the 28,000 is on Facebook. We've got all the things, all the
Yeah.
things. And when we go live in the community, I have 2 shows every week, the Rocket Girl show and then Lessons from the Cockpit. Those are streamed everywhere, including we have a YouTube channel, all the things. Thank goodness
Awesome.
for my team.
Yeah, I was going to
Else for me.
say, speaking of having people who are there to support you, that's only possible because, obviously you're amazing, but you can only do so much. So,
Yes,
yeah,
yes. Yeah, without my team, the thing is that as an entrepreneur, I definitely hired my VA way before I was making any money. And we always hear, well, you can't make money till you get help. And I thought, want, because I can do all the things. I know how to do the
yeah,
things that my VA does for the most part. But I just realized I couldn't add value in the doing. The
yes,
first time I did the Rocket Girl show, yes, I downloaded it, I uploaded it, I figured out how I wanted it to be. After I did it 6 times, I don't need to do that anymore. I am like a master at that,
right,
So I
right.
had to, that what the role is to document it, train someone else, and then let go and watch what's happening. Don't turn a blind eye, but really let them run with it. Let them run with it, and then they feel the success of supporting themselves, being self-reliant, and
Yeah,
producing something together with you. It feels great.
absolutely. And it's just like if you were in a corporate situation, you have a team. Same thing when you're an entrepreneur, you have a team. I have a team. So, it's just so it goes right back to making sure that you're doing what you're good at, your strengths are shining, because the more you can do that, the more you can actually support others and do what you do, help them move forward. Because if you're over here hitting the keyboard, you're not there helping them.
That's
And
right.
that's where your heart lies. And I'm all about doing what you love, because that's what's going to make you successful in your own right.
Hmm.
So, but Belinda, thank you so much for your time today. I am so, so very blessed to call you a friend. And for all of you looking for more from Belinda, please, please join the VA Connection. You will not regret it. If you're thinking at all about becoming a virtual assistant, that can look like anything you want it to look like. You can do general VA work. You can do digital VA work, which is what I was doing with Digital Desk, and we continue to do today. And you can be very, very successful because Belinda has a system that she will actually have you go through in the VA school that will actually help you just completely shine and propel you forward. So thank you again, Belinda. And everyone else, I will see you again next week for the Business of Possibility. Next week, we're going to be talking about the big 4 derailers of success and how you can avoid them. So until then, I will see you on social media.